G'day, I'm here in my office. Welcome. This week I've been thinking about the Olympics because it's right on the cusp of happening in a couple of days. There's a little known fact that the Olympics actually began out of something called the Muscular Christianity movement. The headmaster of rugby school, Thomas Arnold, started this movement which spread right through the 19th century, became very powerful around the world. And the Baron de Coubertin, who dreamed up the modern Olympics in the 1890s, he said he owed the impetus he got to do that from what Thomas Arnold had dreamed as a way of taking sport and making it work for shaping young men into being Christian young men. Well, that part sort of drifted a bit, and they sing a hymn at the beginning of the Olympics to the spirit of antiquity or something like that, and they talk about the brotherhood of man. But it's got a sort of a religious feel to it, there's that hymn singing and so on. And we love the excellence, I do, and I guess we all do. And in these days of COVID, I think sport has become sort of a way of lifting us out of lockdown and sort of widening our screen. And so I'm sure this next couple of weeks we're going to be widened in our thinking and enjoying watching athletes do their thing. I've been thinking about two particular stories. One, Betty Cuthbert back in 1956, that's my era when I was just a kid. But she was a name we all knew. She was the Golden Girl. She won 3 gold medals at the Olympics. And the interesting thing was that she wasn't really expected to win much. She wasn't really the top athlete, but she suddenly blitzed it as an 18-year-old. And then the amazing part of her story was post-Olympics, which is often the hard part for athletes. She actually contracted MS, and for the next 40 years she had to struggle with that. So I thought that was an interesting story to sort of track. How does an athlete who's had such brilliant legs, who carried her to glory, suddenly find, I'm crippled and I can't do that anymore? And I was very moved when I saw the image of her at the 2000 Olympics being pushed in a wheelchair by Raylene Boyle, another 400-metre athlete, to give the Olympic torch to Cathy Freeman, who did so brilliantly to win the 400 metres in the Sydney Olympics. So, but her faith was what gave her strength. And everybody recognised that. She said there was something about Betty Cuthbert's courage and faith. She was very clear that it was Jesus that sort of made the difference in her life. The second story was about Duncan Armstrong. Similar story in some ways, that he wasn't expected to win the 200 metres. He was between a couple of brilliant athletes who were the favourites. They were the world record holders and so on. He was a rank outsider, but he blitzed it, he got it, and suddenly rocketed to fame, became Young Australian of the Year, and they made him, he was well broadcasted all around the place, but it undid him, and in a few years he found himself going down into a very dark place and sort of broke his marriage and lost his family. And about mid-30s, he found himself a drunk and wasting his life, and he met a mate who took him along to church and said, "Mate, you need to meet this person, Jesus." Well, he resisted at first, and then the story is he found Christ and it changed his life, brought him out of that dark place, and he now talks all about it everywhere he goes. So those are the stories I've been thinking about this week, about, we love sport, we love success in sport, we push our young people to achieve, that gold medal. But I think we need to give them something bigger as well. And I think these two stories say, yep, there is something bigger than just winning gold medals. There's a bigger story that you need to connect to. And so that's what I'll be talking about. And I think they're the sort of things, maybe in this COVID era, a lot of people are thinking, what is it that really makes life meaningful? Well, I think those stories might help. I'm the Outback Historian. Thanks for joining me in my office.